What aren't banks and brokers telling you about your retirement plan? They profit whether you win or lose. Here's what to watch out for. I'll be right back. Let's start with the difference between a broker and a fiduciary. So I think we're familiar with the term broker. We get this idea of Wall Street. We get this idea of a person on the phone making calls, trading stocks. It's kind of old school at this point. There really aren't brokers. Even if you went to the New York Stock Exchange, there's no longer people running all over the place. There are no more ticker tapes or ticker tape parades or any of that. It's really just computers. So the industry itself is quite a bit different, but there still are brokers out there. And a broker is somebody that has to maintain what's called a suitability standard. So the suitability standard basically states that the recommendations that they make need to be in your best interest, but it doesn't have to be the best of the options that you have that are in your best interest. In other words, there could be 10 investments out there that are in your best interest. So maybe you're looking for a particular average rate of return and you're looking for a particular amount of risk associated with that. So let's say there are 10 investment options that have about the same average rate of return and about the same amount of risk. Now, a broker that's working under the suitability standard could recommend any one of those to you and might actually pick the one that pays them the highest commission or fee or however they're getting paid on that investment. They're not required to promote the one that's in your best interest. Now, a fiduciary is legally bound to always promote what's in your best interest. It's okay for a fiduciary to make money or charge you fees to manage your account or charge you fees to put together a portfolio for you. What's not legal is for a fiduciary to pick the investment option that would pay them the most. So in other words, out of those 10 investment options, they would have to pick the one that was in your best interest. So the best of the 10, whereas a broker does not have to do that. It could be any one of the 10 and even the one that pays them the most. So brokers or fiduciaries, it all comes down to how much are you actually paying for your investments or how efficient is the investment. A fiduciary is going to be required to provide you with or recommend the most efficient of the investment options that you have. And if they don't do that, they're potentially liable for not doing it. So it comes down to the fees. And a lot of these fees are hidden and they erode your returns over time. So when it comes to investments, I want to find out not just an investment that's going to be suitable, but I want the most efficient of those investments. So if somebody showed me 2 portfolios or 2 investments, and both of the investments had an average rate of return of 8% per year, if nobody gave me any more information, I might say something very generic like, well, don't put all my eggs in one basket. Put half my money in one and put half my money in the other. I want to be diversified. So if they're both paying 8%, what difference does it make? Well, the difference or the devil is in the details. Maybe it's in the expenses. So maybe one costs less to own over time. That would be important. Or what about risk? What if one of the investments that's averaging 8% per year is half as risky as the other investment that's averaging 8% per year? That's need to know information. So the efficiency is really important. And when you're looking at what could potentially erode your portfolio or actually damage your retirement over time, it's going to be things like risk and fees, certainly average rates of return, but make sure you have the most efficient portfolio possible. And also be very careful about the bait and switch tactics that are used by a lot of firms or advisors when it comes to free portfolio reviews. So obviously, if you're a financial advisor and you're trying to get new clients, you'd probably be happy to have somebody come in, show you all of your documentation, go through it, and then start making recommendations, particularly if that advisor is selling products. I see this all the time, free portfolio reviews with very little disclosure about what that advisor actually sells or promotes. So if you can find a situation where you can get a free portfolio review like we do with no strings attached, no product sales, we only make money if somebody decides to work with us. And somebody's going to pay us a fee over time for us to manage their portfolio. So we're providing active portfolio management, income planning, tax planning, and we also do free estate planning, meaning free trusts and wills. But not everybody does that. Now, there are plenty of great advisors out there, but make sure you're talking to someone and don't fall into that trap. Here's a free portfolio review. Oh, by the way, I'm going to try to sell you an annuity. That's not free. That's locking your money up long term, and they're selling products to get commissions. So how do you evaluate your advisor or an advisor that you're talking to, and how do you know when to walk away? Well, ask the right questions and make sure you're getting honest answers. So if you have any of those questions, you're obviously welcome to reach out to us, ask us which questions that you should be asking. But I would want to know things like, how do you get paid? If they're selling products, they're getting paid commissions. If they're getting commissions, why are they recommending that? And why that particular product? Are they a fiduciary? If they're a fiduciary, they're not going to be selling products. So if they say they're a fiduciary, then they try to sell you products, they're not actually a fiduciary. That right there should be a warning sign. If they are charging a fee to manage your portfolio, how much are they charging to manage your portfolio? And are they actually doing the management of the portfolio, or have they hired a third party to do management of your portfolio and then they're charging you a fee? Because those fees can start to stack up. You'd have the underlying expense of the positions in your account. You could potentially have a third party that you have to pay to do management. And then the person that you're talking to, if they're using a third party, they're essentially just a money collector, right? So it's just a transaction. They met you, they charge you a fee for the meeting. They charge you fees to manage the portfolio, but they're not really doing the management because there's a third party and then there's other fees. So this can really stack up. Make sure you understand how they're getting paid, what their business model is, what services are they providing for the fee that they're charging, and then I'd say talk to at least 3 different advisors and then make an informed decision for yourself. It's your money, you worked hard for it, make sure you're protecting it. Thank you for watching. Go to guardingyournestegg.com for your free and objective personal financial plan.